Roll call. First, oh, yeah, I was going to say, I think someone beat you to it, Matt. Sorry about that, guys. Somebody had asked me to stream on Twitch, and I've never really done that before. So let me know if there's an echo, because I know last time I did this, there was like a feedback loop. But hopefully everyone's able to hear me, and there's no feedback loop that just keeps like my voice repeating, like that kind of thing. So everyone can hear me fine. Twitch is so much better. Yeah, well, Matt, I'm streaming on Twitch too. I don't think I have any followers on Twitch, to be honest with you. Like, I'm like 99% sure that I don't have any Twitch followers, but yeah, I've got no one watching on Twitch. But I did it for whoever asked me to stream on Twitch, so it would be the same username. So I guess I'm supposed to say, obviously, not financial advice. This is us just talking about it, but yes, thank you, Anna. I've been thinking about you. Oh, that's my buddy. Yes, I was gonna say we're buddies. He's been here for a long time now. All right, so let's do this. Let's kind of go over. Let's see. What do you think tomorrow will look like? I heard FTDs are due tomorrow, 4 p.m. Okay, so that's not exactly true. What's coming this week is actually the FTD report. So at the end of the month and on the 15th of each month, you have an FTD report that's going to come out. So the last one that came out showed us we had some failure to delivers, but the volume hadn't picked up until, let me just pull up a chart so you guys can see. Here's, I guess, where we got that first volume, right? So we got this volume of like 146 million or whatever it was that day. So that was on the 4th. But the options that we were always looking at are like 15 days behind. So we were looking at options from back like in this time frame, basically up until the 31st. We don't have any of this FTD data right now for this run, where we've had these big, large, spikes in volume. So what we end up seeing is this week, at the end of the week, or whatever the, what does the date come out to? Let's see. So this week, by the 29th, we should receive the FTD data, which is basically going to show at least from the 1st through the 14th or something like that. So we'll at least have the numbers from here. The ones that were really, because FTDs are cumulative though, the ones that really matter won't come out until like the 15th of May. So those are the ones that will really show how many FTDs they really have going. But I was going to say, at least we get a glimpse of seeing some of the growing numbers. So the highest numbers wouldn't come out probably until like the 15th of May, which is right before that OPEX, the monthly May OPEX. So, number one, T plus 35 or T plus 37, those ones don't necessarily mean that they have to be covered on that day. They can cover any time before that. So I wouldn't put your hopes on, one specific day, one specific, What we're going to see is our volume had died down the last couple days. And retail has been buying during this time frame. And some retail sold, but like retail had been buying during some of this time frame, and what you're going to find out is because they're all pushed off exchange, some of the T plus 3s are going to start hitting probably this week, which means that they're going to actually have to buy some shares. The brokerages who they let you buy these shares. They let them sit there, and at some point they have to deliver them, or they become FTDs also. Can they just eat the FTDs? Yeah, sure they could. But at the same time, at this point, I think the FTDs are getting really high, and some of these brokerages are starting to, be. We're already on the threshold list, the reg show threshold. So, at this point, we're gonna see, some of the problems that are gonna happen are gonna be exposed this week. So like the FTDs are already piling up. We know that for a fact because we've been on the reg show now for this will be the 7th day, I think. So if we count, this is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So this on the I think it was on the 14th that we went on, or was it the 12th or the 14th? If someone wants to look that up, that'd be great. But you also have to be on it for 5 days before you get on the reg show. So that would be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So basically, once we had that spike and we had some continued volume, we started the count. We've basically 5% of the float or more, or 10,000 shares or more, were basically this spike right here caused the FTDs to start spiking. So we'll get at least a taste of how bad it's getting. All right. We have one person on Twitch. All right, good stuff. Yeah, but you don't advertise your Twitch though. Yeah, that's true. I haven't been streaming it, so for people that like Twitch, I do have a Twitch. I don't even know it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know the name of it. I'm a really bad streamer, to be honest with you guys. I still have to learn how all this stuff works. But yeah, the FTD report doesn't mean shit, is what Raw Regaming says. We already know the fuckery. Yeah, I mean, it just helps confirm some of the stuff. You're right. Does anyone else think he sounds like the guy from Bob's Burger and Archer? Lana. Danger Zone. Great show, this. Great shows. Hi, Gators. What's up, Just Investor? All right, there's Cam. Let's see. For some reason, the Twitch stream is not working. Oh. Oh, shit. I don't know anything about that. Oh, you're right. It's not. It shows I have a viewer, though. That's weird. Well, I'll have to look into that. I don't know exactly how that works. I'm not going to do it now. I guess just go to YouTube for now and hopefully I'll turn that off then. I don't know if that works, but I'll just turn it off. Okay. Gina. What's up, Gina? All right, so how would the official count happen of the float? So there are places, or there are things that can cause a vote to happen, which they would tally how many votes they have, and if there was an overage, obviously that's an issue because, and the problem is not every person votes on a proxy. So like if they had something that was like a proxy vote, they would count all the shareholders, and technically like. Some brokerages allow you to do that. Some brokerages don't. It all depends. So, I mean, what should happen is this. If you, for example, were voting on something that's important, like electing a new, or I guess in this case, certain things would cause a call for a vote. I'd have to look up how they're structured, but like for example, I know for a fact that if you had a dilution, like for example, like if they wanted to dilute more than 20% of the float, they would have to get a shareholder approval of that. And considering that retail owns the majority of the company, that probably would not be going through, but that would cause a vote also. That I'm not saying that's the only reason. There's other reasons that can cause them, but you would have to find something that would be worthy of them actually having a vote for shareholders. It could be something with the board. It could be something with but yeah, like that would be very interesting to see at this point right now, especially like right now, how many shareholder votes they would get. My guess would be it would be more than the entire shares outstanding. That's just a thought, and obviously, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but at this point, the numbers just don't make sense from where I'm standing. So, let's see. Ready to buy more this week. We're trending again. Yeah, I was gonna say, and it's one of those things where it's trending on. I think I saw on. Let me pull up this real quick, and we can figure out where it's trending. Okay, so currently, Aterian right now had a massive spike in upvotes and also mentions. The only thing that had more than that right now is the S&P, the SPY, the Spider SPY. And obviously that everyone's talking about the market crash and what's going to go on with it. People are still talking about Netflix. People are talking about GameStop. Always, and then Facebook also. But at this point, the fact that a small cap like Aterian right now is all over like the entire Reddit in the last 24 hours. And we've been number one for a long time. I mean, we're not that far away from the SPY, so that's pretty interesting. And if you break it down, if you want to go like, I don't think we're going to be on Wall Street Bets because obviously there's a market cap requirement. But Wall Street Bets new. Let's see, are we even on there? Yeah, so on Wall Street Bets new, we're only, I guess, 18th on there. However, I think on Elite we're number one. Yeah, Elite is number one right now. So Elite's all over it. I don't think we'll be in stocks. I don't think we'll be in. Let me just double check. Yeah, I don't see us in stocks. I can give you a perfect example. I got banned from honestly, I only posted like a trade idea. I didn't violate any rules, but I got banned from day trading. And I'm like that was my first post there. I'm like, okay. So obviously a lot of subs are banning. Let's see. Those are SPACs. We're not going to be in there. And then, yeah, day trading. Like, I got banned from here for posting once. I think they're literally just, yeah, we're not even on here. Like, what's interesting is, though, if you actually look, SST's on here. They're considered like a meme stock. Like, they were allowed to be on there. But Aterian's not at all. So that's interesting. Short squeeze. That's down now, though, right? Yeah. That's down right now. So only the people that are allowed right now to, I think they were like contributors. They're the only ones allowed to post on there. So they're basically getting to put whatever they want on there. Yeah, one upvote, one mention is number one. So like that's a dead site right now. So they probably should remove that. I should probably actually write these guys and let them know. Squeeze plays though, number one, Aterian. So, if we go to all subs, that's pretty good. So obviously, that sort of thing is what algos pick up on. And, the day we got this right here, we were trending number one on all Reddit. This was a Friday. I wrote the DD on this Friday, and then people started talking about it over that weekend. And by Sunday, we were the number one trending stock on Reddit, and we got this huge amount of volume. I don't know if that's going to happen again, but what I do know is obviously our volume had been down, but the entire market was bleeding off. So I think people kind of ran off to stop the bleeding in other places. And so they were not concentrating on a small cap like, Aterian. So, but yeah, I mean, everyone that's out there talking about, and honestly, the way these things work is they're just bots that scrape data. So every time that Aterian's mentioned, so if you just type in ATER and they, in a comment at some point, they pick up on that. So that's how these things work. If they put SPY in a comment, it's picking it up and it's, people are talking about it and it's tracking that. So that's how these things work. And some, if you go to I think it's Google, let me see if the Google Trends is up. Google trend. All right. Yeah. So, for example, just so you guys see this, we are obviously right now in a climb. People are starting to search for Aterian. So in like the last, let's do past day, there's people searching all throughout today. It will increase probably tomorrow because it's a market day. But if you look in the last 7 days, we had our peaks back here. And I think that's when we were, let's see, let's compare it up to the chart. Sorry, let's see. So this portion right here, when we were hitting our highest prices, obviously that's when we had the most searches. Here, let's go. Yeah, so we're in an uptrend right now for searches. People, if the stock starts getting volume again, it's gonna do the same thing. So these are all good things. I'm a bot, but for apes. Otaku. Good evening. Good evening, Overmind. Cody, what should we expect this week? I mean, it's hard to say. So what we saw was, I think DZ, I don't know if he's back from his bachelor party, but basically we had mapped out this area right here, and he had sent off a document, which I don't know if I have saved, but basically he was saying that they were going to push it down on low volume, and if the volume was low, we'd enter this like 408 to like 393 to maybe even I think it was like 380. It was basically where these like trend lines can be, to see a bounce, and it would be a significant bounce off one of them. Could it be off one of these trend lines? Sure, and that would be, this is supposed to be the loading zone, like in this area right here. Could it be a little bit bigger? Sure. I mean, like if we wanted to be safe, we could say, oops. Wait, where's the... I don't know if I can make that bigger. Yeah. Basically, this area right here would be where somebody would, try to push it down. It would bounce off at one of these indicators, and then we'd, see increased volume. If you kind of look at right now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to just hammer the stock down, and we haven't had the volume to like push it back up, because it could easily bounce off this and make another run. Right now, though, on the stochastic, that means that I don't anticipate getting this back over. Because basically what you're doing is it crossed over, it's in a downtrend. What you need to see then is some more, buying pressure, which will start curling this up, and then it would be crossing over again. So that looks like it would be more like on the 20. It depends on how. It can straight up go like this, but that's very unusual. So what you would normally see is it would probably be on like Tuesday or Wednesday. It would curl over, and then we might take that next run up, and that would also coincide with the FTDs coming out towards the end of the week. So we could see that this week, but as of right now, this is where we're at. The volume had died the last 3 days, so like. The volume needs to pick up, and then people need to realize that when they're buying these shares, if they're not routing through IEX or some sort of lit exchange, your shares are not adding to buying pressure. So, for some people, they were buying because they can't route through IEX or another lit exchange. What some people are doing are buying deep in the money calls, or they're selling bullish puts. I think at some point we need to kind of go over what that means. Like somebody had written me and was talking to me about like, okay, so if this week, for example, let me pull up real quick the options chains, because I think we need to look at those too. getting a lot of great messages over the weekend. I meet one with my family normally, so I can't really like respond to all of them. But I appreciate everyone that kind of wrote to me and was trying to, give me little tips and things that were going on, and look at this, please. And I'm gonna try to get to all of that on Monday, but I'm at least trying to keep up with them. I'm getting a lot of messages nowadays. That's what I found out. So let's look at this week's options chains, and we'll kind of hash it out for you guys. I'll take a screenshot real quick so you guys can see. And it does look like they rolled over a good amount. All right, so let's go ahead and get this up real quick. Yeah, like I wasn't gonna stream. I was gonna watch the new Batman movie, but you guys said that you wanted me to do it, so I came on here, and we'll go over this stuff real quick, and then maybe I'll get to watch the new Batman before bed. If not, then I'll do it, after all this is done. Hopefully after the moon, I can take a little break just for at least like a day or two and be able to like catch up on some shows. And it's just been so busy. Like every night, I come home, eat dinner, put the kids, give them bath, bed. And then, I come down and I hang out with you guys and talk about stocks, and doesn't leave a whole lot of time for other things. And that's fine. Like, we're busy. We're trying to make money, and that's what matters right now. And honestly, I think there's, the more and more I'm talking to, there are people that are writing me, and they're going, just want to let you know you're definitely on to something. And I'm like, yeah, like you don't have the numbers right now don't make sense. Whenever that happens, there usually is a huge catalyst or something that happens, and then one day you'll just wake up and it gaps up $6 a share, and you're like, holy crap, like that's how these things go, because they lost control. But at this point, they're still able to control it, especially on low volume. Like we talked about, if you're new and you didn't kind of catch Friday, or if you didn't understand my DD, on low volume days, they are able to absolutely control the price, and that's what ended up happening. When the volume died down on these days right here, what ends up happening is they take these orders and they basically we proved it. Like we showed, we've been tracking it. They've been spoofing. And what that is on a low volume day when there's not a lot of like buying pressure or even selling pressure, they can just flash up like a 30K, sell order. And on the, let me break it down to like a 1 minute. Okay, so if we were to look at a period of sell-off, right? You notice right around here-ish, right? You don't have any significant, like huge sell bars. Like, it's not like, these huge sell bars. But what they do is they basically bleed off shares, and then they also flash large orders. So like on a candle like this, when you see like this was the start of it. So like they were trying to push it up, the bulls were trying to push it up, and the shorts threw out a spoof, and basically it starts this downward thing, and then some people see, okay, the stock's going down. They start using, obviously, like we've crossed over here. If they're day trading, they'll get out too because they want to get back in on the crossover here. And so what ends up happening is it adds selling pressure. And so the extra selling pressure, this stock is being traded by multiple things. And it's not just longs versus shorts. There's, swing traders, there's, momentum traders, there's all sorts of things going on. So like, it'd be very simple if it was just longs versus shorts, but that's not how the market actually works. And so you kind of have to learn, there are times where like, and we finally had, so this one right here, this is the big volume one, right? So, but as we bleed out, people start freaking out, and so you'll have actually more retail traders. Sometimes will be like, okay, I'm out for this. Like, I'll buy back in at the bottom, and then it bleeds more, and then look, we can't go, we keep going down, we keep going. I'm gonna lose, I'm profitable right now, and I'm gonna lose my money, and that's how these things go. Well, boom, we entered this loading zone, right? And then everything was good, and everybody was kind of like, okay, so I guess we're not going to obviously make the 450 or the 5. And the last couple minutes, though, like they basically started here, and somebody started buying. And then here, it was about, I think it was 20 minutes before there was starting to be buying pressure. And then the last, I think it was 12 minutes, they really started buying. Like, here's a good size buy, here's a good size buy, and they were really pushing it up. Like, the market maker clearly had to use some short exempts or spoof or something to keep this from hitting over. Because I think at one point they got up to the it says 440, but they were closer than it looked. Like, that was the last minute bar, and they threw a bunch of sell orders right there. So, supposedly we have a whale on our side now. He said he bought in, I think, what day was it? I think it was, let me pull up. I don't know if he's listening, but I think it was this day. The day we opened up, I think it was this day right here, which was the 21st. He bought in, I think, at 450. So at 450, and he caused us to run up to 5 by himself. And then he bought back in also here, from what at least we've been told. And supposedly he has 1.3 million shares by himself. And then we also know that there are a couple guys that have 400K shares, 300K shares. Some of the whales in our Discord. And if you think about that, if you add those numbers up, let me pull this up real quick. I think I did the rough math on it. So if he has 1.3 million by himself, if that's true, and I think we have another, I'm not going to throw out names, but we have another person who has about 400K shares, and then we have another person who is, I think, three something. So right there, that would be about 2 million shares between just 3 of them. If you take that and we have a float of 26, 27, so they own 8% of the float by themselves, just 3 people. Now think about that. 3 people own 8% of the free float. We have thousands of people. We have 12,000 people in the sub now. There were 120K people in Short Squeeze. There are, 100 something in Wall Street Bets new. 3 people already own 8% of the float. How many thousands of people have Aterian in their portfolios? You don't think the float's locked up? 3 people own 8% of it. How many shares do you have? If you start doing the math on that, it's if somebody's got 20K shares and somebody else has, 80K shares and somebody else has, 100 shares, and then somebody else, but all those things add up, and we have, this is growing. Each week it gets worse and worse and worse. And so somebody had asked me, okay, is it warrant, these warrants, could they be, taking those 7 million that are coming out in September and, basically using them as an insurance policy? And I'm yeah, that's very possible. That's what they're banking on. There's a problem with that, though. September is very far away. Look at this. Let's, I don't know if I can. September is all the way over here. You have an earnings coming up on May 5th, right here. And I think you have another earnings coming up like somewhere in this area too. So you have 2 earnings until those September ones come into. Do you think they can last that long? Because like I don't think they can. I mean, based off the math that we're seeing, and like, I mean, I know they're trying to attack the stock and they're trying to spread FUD and they're trying to basically tell everyone that this is over, and if they push it down, then this is all over, and we're just we're going to settle out in the threes again. But I'll be honest with you, September 6th is right here. That's a long ways away to be banking on those 7 million shares when you're trading over $1 billion in just the last, couple of days. Like since we hit, like what was it? Right here. That's the 8th. That's when we hit 100% utilization. So I tracked the numbers since this date. And just since this date, we've traded over 1 billion shares. Which is crazy. All while, 100% utilization. Let me save this real quick, and I'll bring over the options chain so we can kind of look at it. Sorry, I got sidetracked, and I haven't been reading the chats at all. Give me a second. Options. Today is the 24th. Okay, let's bring these over and take a look real quick. Yeah, I mean, all right, let me catch up a little bit on the, let me see if we can zoom in on this so you guys can see it better. Oops. I promise at some point I'll get better at this. I don't know. Let's see. Can I choose how much I want to zoom? How about that? That works. I know you can't see part of it, but it just shows at least the battleground. Yeah, my thoughts on the. Let me catch up a little bit on the chat before I get absolutely behind. Yeah. So right now, the MACD's crossing over like bearish. Now, granted, you can have runs where they can come down and they can go back up again. So it doesn't always mean that specifically, like, let's see. You can have a dip and then a rip again. Let's see, is there any here examples? But yeah, that's what they're trying to do. On this low volume, they were able to, like, basically push this down, make all the technical indicators look, not as great. Right now our RSI is kind of like exactly where you need to be. Obviously, we went hot real quick with this, even on the daily. Like, we went hot. We've cooled that down. So I could see another day or two, and then I could see a rip coming again. It all depends on volume. Like, if we get volume tomorrow, we'll rip. Like, that's just when we get volume, they can't play these games as much. Like, they and all this goes through right now the options chain, which I'll bring back up. But I just wanted to let you know my thoughts on the MACD is if we get volume, we'll push off that and go back up, and if not, then we'll cross over. And it'll be a day or two, and then we'll probably cross back over, as long as volume comes at some point. AMC did a vote and it came back exactly the float. Huge disappointment. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, AMC also had like literally like millions and millions and millions of shares more than ours. Like AMC's got a huge float, and they did that because of dilution, which I could go into forever, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to sit there and rip. Poor Netflix, yeah. Netflix is doing some other things like alienating some of their users. Just I get what they're doing. They got to make sure they make their money, but Whew. All right. May 20th options ramp. Yeah, I mean, all right, I will cover that with the option stuff. Let's see. Please. Yeah, I'm actually giving you my Sunday evening, where I'm at least. What was the day that you streamed live market hours? I did it back on one of these days. I called out of work because I was like, I think it's going to rip. I think it was this day and this day. I think it was like a Thursday and a Friday I called out. And then I was back at work these weeks. But good evening. Good evening to all you guys who are saying hi to me. There's a lot of you, so I'm just throwing it out there. Let's see. My friends and family, getting them in the ground floor, give them Aterian's DD. Yeah, I mean, they can read it and see. Judging by the options chains, people were betting for the squeeze before May 20th. What's a realistic? So I'll put it to you this way. So this is what happened last week, and I just want to make sure you guys can understand. When we had this run up right here, this run up was because people had stacked 150, 250, options, and the stock was like $2. It was like 250 the start of this day, and it ran up. But the end of this week, we finished, I think, what was the stock price at that? Like 230 or 240, something like that. It was a super low volume day. I think, we had tiny volume, and the market maker just pushed us down at the end of the day to make sure that the 250s were burned or something like that. Whatever the stock was. Or maybe it was 350, I can't remember. Was it? No, it was 250, right? Yeah. We got the buzz over that weekend, and then we ran because we had this volume. Now, I just want to show you guys, when this happened, I think this trapped the shorts. But all these in-the-money options are the reason why the market makers had to hedge this stuff, right? So we had this upwards movement. Everything was going good until right here. This is where's the... Let me make sure I've got the days right. So the 18th was a Monday. So this is the Monday right here. What happened, though, on this options chain was everyone started buying like $7.50, $10, $12 calls. And, of course, what happens is this. We start running up, and then the market makers use their ammo, and they start pushing it down. And once ATER didn't have, it wasn't like, but we got into a downtrend at this point. And then people were like, okay, well, moon tomorrow. But nobody had deep in the money calls or bullish puts that they sold. So what ends up happening is now you don't have that base anymore, and they were able to walk it down. And then once we lost some momentum here, they were able to walk it down on low volume because everyone had already either bought in or but that's what ended up happening. You didn't have that reason that the market makers needed to hedge. And so we bled out, and now we're, this is where we're at. Let's take a look at this options chain real quick so I can just show you guys. All right. Hopefully you can see this. So, once again, we're starting off this week. Now, we do at least have a nice base of these fours, but they may go for that. If you already look on the put side, they're trying to create this reverse gamma ramp down again. And what they'll do is they'll start selling a ton of $5 puts at the market open and try to push this down and get that going. And they'll probably load up this area to try to run this stock back down to make it look horrible. So if you're not, I'm not telling anyone how to invest, but I'm saying if this doesn't end up being, heavily bought up, they're going to basically control this with the options, and they're just going to run it down because once these go under, once we basically lose this right here, this 4 level, they could easily push it down just through options because liquidity is so low right now that if there's not a bunch of people that were like, oh, well, I want to make sure I have, a safe in the money, like a $2.53, dollar, call, then they're going to end up starting to push this down. Now, I don't think they can get it down to this level, to be honest with you. I think at this point, somebody big will come in and start snapping up like shares long. You think about how much pressure you have when the one thing I want to tell you guys, the lower the stock price goes, the more power retail actually has. So they have to keep this at a level where it's low and they want to shake people out, but at the same time, they can't keep it too low because that's how they got in problems before. When we were sitting down here in the 2, you can buy a crap load of shares and just hold them long. And that's essentially what ended up happening with retail was retail bought all the way down. And then we were sitting down here chopping around in the 2s. And I think retail, even if the retail didn't own the entire float back in this time frame, like if retail didn't own the float, like say, for example, a bunch of retail bailed here, bailed throughout here, bailed here, what happened was there was enough retail that was still interested in buying this stock down here that they were buying up large portions. And so when we hit this earnings right here, right, and the earnings wasn't like great, but it wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, like it was basically as expected. They ran out of shares then, meaning that they probably, the utilization went to 100 for here. And I think they were trying to keep pushing it down to freak out retail because, if we had dropped below $2, I think retail would have started bailing really quickly. But we didn't. We bounced off the 210 and, we moved up because this is when they moved under current asset values. Like that makes no sense fundamentally. Like if you're a fundamental trader, unless they're liquidating, you don't go below current assets. Just for anyone that's, new to trading or doesn't know that, you don't go below cash, inventory, even discounted inventory. But like, that got too low and that's when they got greedy. So at some point then, with the 100% utilization, all that needed to happen was a volume spike. And once they got that, these shorts got trapped because a lot of these shorts had shorted around this area. I think somebody had looked that up over the weekend. I think I read that this weekend that they were looking at the average, like short, and the average short had bought shorted around this level, at least for a bunch of them. So there's a whole bunch of shorts right now that are stuck down here, and we're sitting up here. And that's why they're pushing and trying to get this, everyone to forget about Aterian is because, they're stuck down here. Like if they start having to cover, they have to now cover, $2 higher than when they shorted, in some cases, or $1, more. But like that's a loss for them. And the cost to borrow is high at this point. So as long as, they're just going to, try to get everyone convinced that, this is all over. They're going to push it down if they can with this options chain and let everyone know, oh, yeah, it's over. Nothing to hear. It was just a pump and dump. All these silly Aterian guys, they're trying to tell you. But the numbers are on our side. Like when you look at our numbers and how much we're trading on a 26 million float, it doesn't make sense. Like there's no reason it should be getting that, So, and we'll go over this a little bit more, but realistic price target for right now is if we get volume back, I expect it to probably move up because once they start having to hedge this stuff, you'll see a significant fast run up to probably like 7 again. And then it would test obviously the recent high of like whatever it was, 7 something, right? It was, sorry, I'm not super prepared. It was 726. So you could definitely see a retest of that up here. And at that point, you've got a whole bunch of, they would have to start stacking these options and further down. But the May options are going to be the ones that are super interesting. The May 20th. Because each week that goes by, those get more and more full. And so something's going to happen before May 20th. That's what I can tell you guys, because I mean the sheer amount of just volume that's going into those options chains is getting immense. I mean, even just not if it's not this week, the 29th ending OPEX, May 6th has a ton of 450 volume coming in. It's the 13th has a good amount of 450 and 5. Those weeklies are, a little more dangerous, but just to show you this, let me take a screenshot real quick. Oops, here we go. All right, here we are. Pull up the May 20th so you guys can see it. All right, let's see. May 20th. Okay. So, look at this right here. Hopefully you guys can see this, but I need to put a border up. Sorry. So this is what's in the money right now. But look at this right here. Look at the fives. Like, that's close to 2 million shares just at 5. Like, and look at the 750s. Look at that. That's like, what is that, 6 million shares? Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, somebody's anticipating a large run-up on the side, and you can tell they're fighting this. They're starting to actually put in, like some backstops to try to put the pressure down. And is this also maybe them just putting, I'm supposed to be careful what I say. I've been told by a family friend who's a lawyer. He said I have to watch what I'm saying, so I will be careful about how I phrase things. It looks like at this point that a bunch of people have put there's two things that could be happening right now. This could be a market maker at these levels right here. And what they're doing is they're basically hedging if they lose control. It could be retail and it could be, other investors. But one thing you have to consider is this a market maker that said, if we lose control of this, we at least can cover at these points right here? Because, that would give them access to basically 6 million shares. Or actually more than that, about 7 million shares between the two of them. So this option chain, and look, there's a lot of 250 in the monies that are going to need to be hedged, and they're spending a lot of money on this to keep it suppressed, is what I can tell you. It's not coming cheap to do this. So, all right. Inverse Kramer. I'm so far behind now. Let's see. Batman's so good. Okay. Don't worry, the new Batman sucks. Obviously, it is a mixed bag. Some people like it, some people don't. Dune is awesome. I will say that. Dune was really good. And I was excited to see it, and I was like, I hope they don't butcher this. And Dune was really good, so. All right, let's see. Could I do a screenshot of this with the price ranges in the Discord channel? Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. I included in one of the Friday DDs. It was DZ's screenshot that he sent me, and hopefully he'll be back this week. I don't know if he is or not, but if he is, then that'd be good. I don't believe anyone can realistically look at what happened in February of 2021, where a stock reached 40. Every small cap and medium stock went to astronomical heights at the same time simultaneously. Yeah, it did. I mean, if you want to look back. Now, the only thing I'll tell you is this run-up happened on low volume. So I don't know if it was entirely caused by retail. But I can tell you that it did move up in February, and it didn't get shorted until really this area right here. They really hammered it down here. Like, this whole area right here, that's when shorts went heavy. And then interestingly enough, the highest level of like shorts going nuts is actually here-ish. Because that's when they were like, okay, retail's in, now we're definitely going against the stock. And so they've been just bleeding us out on low volume. Like, I mean, look at the volume. Like, you had real volume here on these run-ups, and then since then it's just low volume, and they're just bleeding out the stock. And they if you look at it, they were winning. Like, retail wasn't coming around, and retail didn't care about Aterian until right about here. And that's when not just retail, like big institution. This was an institution. Somebody saw this and said, I kept writing in my DDs, at some point someone smart is going to see what the setup on this is, and they're going to end up just, absolutely annihilating these shorts. And they did. Like, somebody came in and trapped these shorts right here. So now the shorts are trapped, and now they're just squeezing them out. And here's the thing. They're looking to let this go down, because most of the time when these things happen, they move up in waves. So you'll see like an up wave, down wave, and then you'll get an even bigger one. So you might see the next wave up here, which would be right around the 5th or 6th. Could we finish around this area by then? Like the $7 to $8 range. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the TA says. So why do you think 15 to 20 is a realistic price target? I don't have a price target on the stock, to be honest with you. I think it's going to go up, and I think it all depends on when or if the shorts cover. It will send the stock to just astronomical heights, and I don't know how much that is. I'll put it to you this way: when I looked at the data from GameStop, when GameStop was happening, I was like, wow, 140%, SI. I was like going through the numbers. I was like, this could go to like 80. I literally, my price target was 80 on GameStop. And once I saw how fast GameStop was moving and people started getting margin called, that's when I was like, now here's the thing. There's a huge difference between us and GameStop. And I want to make that absolutely clear. GameStop was its own beast. But I just want to show you how these things can run, and it's very unexpected. I bought in at 17 on GameStop, and I saw this run up here to 100 something, and it happened within like a day. And that's when I was like, I'm not selling at 80. Like this one was like a 60. That was... These are all dailies. So at one point, this ran up to like 150 and then came back down. The next day, boom. And that's when you had the major, like, the price was just moving. And somebody was squeezing these guys. And this is the day that they obviously, the 28th of January, they effed over all of retail. But this day right here, I remember that specifically because we, at one point it went down and then went screaming up, and then it finished like 300 or shit. Like, I mean, so yeah, I don't have a price target on Aterian because I don't know how hard and fast it's going to go. Because I can tell you right now, this right here, we're going to find out real quick this week how many FTDs there are, because that was a factor of GameStop also. And, we're going to quickly realize that this is a problem for them. And when that happens, there are going to be more people coming in, especially like, I've noticed there's the DD on Aterian's getting better. And I'm like, it's not me doing it. There are other people looking at it now and going, there's something off with this. And like, like I've told people, I am not the smartest guy in the room. Like I could hold my own for a lot of things, but like there are some people, especially in like Super Snocks and like a couple other like like forums that like people I read their stuff and I'm like, wow, that I mean they understand like the market mechanics, how the sausage is made, all this stuff. And I'm trying to learn that stuff myself, and I will continue to always try to improve my knowledge base. But I was going to say, people like that are starting to look at the stock now and go, something's going on here, and it doesn't look right. And when that happens, you start getting a lot better information. So the data for retail is getting better because people are starting to notice and starting to go, maybe this isn't the same pump and dump that we thought it might be. There might actually be something here. And if I was an intro to that, that's awesome. But I was going to say, I mean, I've noticed the DD's getting much better. So, hopefully that continues and we're going to really... people are worried about the market. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, so if you go solely off market sentiment, then yeah, I mean, we this was a bad week for the market, and we went down just with it, and we got no volume probably because everybody was watching the rest of the market, and they're like, yeah, we're not playing with this stock anymore. Like they were playing with it up here, they were like, not going to play with it when everything else is bleeding right now. So our volume died, and obviously our stock price went down during that. But at some point we should hit a spring level and then head back up. Are we getting bots again? All right. Yeah, a whale bought in. I don't think I'm too far behind. I'm like midway through the comments, it looks like. The whale guy did join the Discord. He thanked them for the invite and took off Friday. Okay, very cool. I haven't talked to him on the Discord, so I don't know who he is, but I did hear that there was a whale in there. Yeah, some people are saying, they own 5K shares, 18K shares. The float is locked, yeah. I mean, my buddy who told me about this is 5K shares. I only own 900, but I'm looking for dips. Yeah, 8,500, 6,700. Oh, thank you, Trey. Appreciate it. Trey's a good guy. He's one of the whales. All right, let's see. All right, gaming. Your synopsis sounds like a future synopsis should be. Yeah, I ate the assets. Got 125K, not including his options. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of Aterians that have a lot of shares, and I'm telling you right now, if you do the math on that, just like I ate the acid, if you add his shares in there, you probably have 10% of the float locked up, just with 4 people. So I'm just throwing that out there. Like, if 10% of the float's already locked up with 4 people, how many? Thousands own this stock. Newer highs, let's see. By my math, the stock will go up above 10. Yeah, I mean, the stock can go as high. I mean, we're not even talking about if there are, the CEO could accuse, shorts of having naked shares back in October of last year. If those shares are still around, that's another thing with GameStop. There was obviously a ton of shares that were synthetic and did not belong, and who knows how many are on the Aterian, because they bled this down for a long time. And sneaking in a couple extra shares, I'm not saying they did that, but if somebody was to sneak in a couple of extra shares, throughout this time period, you could potentially have a lot of extra shares that may or may not actually be on the books. So who knows? But any chance the shorts would bring the stock down below 350? I mean, that's what they're going to try to do with the options chain. If we pulled up this, I mean, is this the 20th? Yeah, that's May 20th. Let me grab the other one. Yeah, so if we look at this right here, they've stacked up this. They're trying to get downward pressure right now. And what they'll do is they'll start buying probably $5 puts starting Monday morning to try to drive down the price. And unless there's equal, buying pressure down here, then they're probably going to at least move the stock under $4 is what I would say. And they would try to get down to like this 350, and they'll start stacking the fours. Then the only thing is, though, if we get the longs get any sort of momentum, there is a lot to hedge on the upside. And so even just the slightest amount of if the stock price is moving up, if the ton of deep in the money calls are coming in, that's going to push the stock price up. And then once they start having to hedge all this, you could see an easily a move up to like 6 or 7, within a short amount of time. But yeah, it can happen. It's all going to depend on volume. It's all going to depend on, how much interest there is. I mean, obviously we saw that we pulled up the indicators. The retail is talking about it in Reddit, and the Google searches are up, and these are all things that matter. So people are, we have 135 people in here, and I've noticed each video gets about, and I have the worst format out of anyone. Like the people who are putting out 6 to 10 minute videos on Aterian are doing so much better than this long format. Of the people that are in here, people who really probably have a large position or really care about kind of the due diligence. I don't have, I don't know how to edit, and I don't at this point I just talk, and it's just I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, the people who have much better formats and it's more digestible. Someday I'll get there, and I'll be able to make some of those. But at this point right now, I don't really know how to convey my message any other way than this. So let's see. A bunch of people want to know how high I can go. Like I said, I don't have a price target. It is what it is. Up. It's going to be up. Let's see. Once they lose control. Hey, Mike, thank you so much for the donation. All of it I haven't gotten paid from YouTube yet, but someday when YouTube pays me, it will go all into Aterian. So, let's see. People are talking about Dune again. Yeah, Mike, good guy. Thank you. Sarah, how long do you think this squeeze could last? And I wasn't part of GME or AMC last year. Is it typically over days, weeks, months? So GameStop actually took 4 months to happen. So GameStop, just to show you guys, when GameStop squeezed, it actually was a process that started back in, I think it was October, November of 2021. So you had this low of 443 here, and then you actually had some buying. And so what was happening during this time frame? Oops, let me just go back to. So here's your low. GameStop at one point hit 257, right? Now you figure it. Even if I'm trying to remember when I read. I think if I remember correctly, I just want to see this part right here. This was a battle. That was 2020. Here's 2021, right? So this is the one we really want to look at. But I guess the battle technically started in, I think, November of 20 and then moved into the 21. So here-ish, if I remember correctly, Ryan Cohen bought his shares in October, November. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but he bought in, I think, around this time frame, and the stock moved up and then got heavily shorted, and then it moved up. This started kind of like this whole thing, and so I read the DD around, I think, this time frame right here, which was like maybe November or December-ish. I think it was around here. I actually read the DD. What's even more messed up, though, is I had heard about this guy buying GameStop like weeks and weeks before, and I think it was down here. And I was like, what an idiot. And now, like, I'm just kicking myself because that's what happens. Like, you get your confirmation bias. I was a fundamentals and trader, and I was like, why the hell is somebody buying GameStop? It's a company that's, I was thinking of it logically, which is digital downloads just killing this company. Like, there's no reason for a GameStop anymore. It's going to be obsolete. And so I dismissed it, and I didn't read the guy's DD. And then I ended up having to buy over here because I wouldn't listen to the guy when he was talking about it back here. So that goes to show you, and this happens all the time, that retail doesn't care until we FOMO. And so, like, yeah, I think I bought around this time frame, but it went down, and I think I bought on one of these dips, and I'm still kicking myself. Yeah, but yeah. It took from, I think November until October, November until this is your peak. So that took about like 3-4 months for it to happen. And then you obviously have the secondary spikes, and but like the squeezed portion, which is here, took like 3-4 months. So we'll go back to Aterian now. I don't think it will take that long for Aterian personally. I think it will take weeks. I don't think it will take months. Because I think technically it started back here. When we hit this utilization there, basically that's when I consider that like the start. So if you want to do the math on that, it's been like almost a month right now, from our like earnings right there, and now we're like a month and a half right now. So yeah, I mean that it's following a timeline that makes sense, which is they were trying to get this down. They're still trying to actively get it down. If they can't, then this thing goes parabolic at some point. People quoting you on ST right now. Ouch, Anon. If we get volume back, anyone watching a stream, did you notice how many times he said volume? Did they leave you guys? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So there's going to be a bunch of like people who bought in that their shares are going to come due this week. So there's going to be at least some buying pressure coming back. But yeah, I'm not like, I'm on StockTwix right now, and I think I have like 4 followers, and I don't post there unless Rob basically makes me. It's just that StockTwits to me right now, because everything's like happening live, and like so people get like very emotional when they're trading on the those platforms, and that's not how I trade. Like I'm very kind of even keel when I'm trading, and I try to leave. Like, here's the thing. This is why I say price is not a price can be controlled. Like on low volume right here, we sell bleeding. On high volume though, they can't hide it, or they can't basically deal. Like it's hard to hide that kind of like fuckery when people just keep buying it. So like that's why you have these these spikes right here. And then on low volume though, like we had low volume on these days too, but the sentiment was just and there was tons of in the money calls that were just being there. So like even though there wasn't a ton of retail buying at that point, they were still in the money stuff. They had a hedge. But once again, what happened here on the 18th, which was people started aiming higher and they weren't holding deep in the money, calls, and that sent us down. So we're starting a new week, and that's fine. The sausage is made. Yeah, I mean, like, it's true. Like 5,200 shares for Sarah. D's got 23,000 shares. We'll wait till double digits. Yeah, like, I'm telling you right now, if you start adding up these shares, like, if we added up all the Discord shares, we probably would own at least 50 to 60% of the float, if not more. We'll see. I mean, my buddy has 15K shares. Yeah, I'm telling you, Mike's got over 42K. I'm telling you guys, if we added this up, we might even know the entire float ourselves in the Discord. Like, yeah, 29,000 shares. My roommate has 40,000 shares. Like, right there, that's over 4 million shares of just people mentioning stuff here. Like, I'm telling you guys, there's something off on this. Yeah, GME was its own beast. Yeah, I mean, these things can go absolutely parabolic. Let's see. There's a stupid amount of puts on the major indices right now. They're going to want to burn those puts, to be honest with you. Like, that's how this market works. Like, if you go to, like, the SPY, right now, oh, that's SP. I need SPY. We're sitting here, and if you actually look at this, like, to me, from just, this is starting to look like distribution. And so this has nothing to do with Aterian, because Aterian's going to be running on its own. But I'm just saying, like, if you start looking at some of this stuff, we may see another leg higher, retouch this, and then you might see a pretty aggressive move down. It looks like we're about to cross. We could cross back over, but they've definitely pushed this. That was a rough day that we had right here. So, but yeah, they typically like to burn the puts, because puts are more expensive typically than calls. But I just want to show you, like, you ever notice things like this when you see these waves, and then all of a sudden you see a dump? Typically, this is when you see Wyckoff coming in. They're basically pumping it up. You have some bleed off, pumping it up. So these are people then getting people to buy back in, and then this is when smart money's selling. They're selling all throughout here, and then they dump it, and then smart money buys back in down here. They start buying in down here, buying here, and then they put on the algos to send it higher, and then they ran it. And now it looks like you're having something similar, where you're having these chops, and this could be, distribution. Yeah, but I mean, they would love nothing more than to be able to push Aterian down, accumulate more, and then just send it to the moon. Because some of them missed out on it. So they'll push it down with their algos. They'll push it down, and they'll load up in this zone, and then take the next leg up. Is book value matter on short squeeze stocks? I mean, if you just buy along with the smart money. Yeah, that's what we try to do. I want to clarify something for you guys. So book value on the stock right now is roughly, what is it? I think it's like 423 or something like that. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. And you've got different, means, but like if I just come in here, I look at this, I look at fundamentals. Yeah, like right now, Aterian, as of last year on December, the book value was about 423 on the stock. So, do we know why the volume dropped from 120 million per day to 30 to 40 million? Yeah, the SPY, the entire market was like chopping and bleeding, and I don't think everyone wanted to play anymore. Like this is a big day. Like if you look at this, that's a huge drop. Like we should have been really, really red. We were only 6% red. You know, a 2% on the S&P is like billions and billions of dollars of money lost. Like that's a big move on the S&P. Like for anyone that doesn't know, like 2% on the S&P is like billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I mean, we should have been more. Like we should have been more down than that. They were trying to get this stock down, and bulls at the end pushed it back up. They pushed this wick back up. But like when you have, for example, everything was good here, we were getting some buying pressure. You know, here's a good day. This is a decent day. Good day for volume, and they were sustained. Excuse me. It also depends on when, if, say for example, they decide they were going to eat FTDs during this time frame, because this point right here was important to them. This is when they know that this will go into May. So they may have just said, okay, we're going to let it run up a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and push it back down. And we know that any of the FTDs that come in this area right here, they're not going to see until May. So you have to think like them. Like you have to think like a market maker. You have to think like a short. You could think like a broker who's trying to make sure that people don't know that they don't have their shares yet, because these guys are able to basically eat FTDs if they want to, as long as it drops the price and maybe gets retail to sell. So like, and this is not being conspiracy theory. Like this is how this stuff works. For some time, like for some reason, people don't like kind of grasp this. Your brokers are not on your side. Your brokers don't want you to have these shares. You're in a highly volatile stock, and you're in a stock that they want to make sure that they want to make sure you lose money on this trade. Like if you bought in at 6 or 7, and now you're freaking out because the stock's at like 439. We're sitting here now, and they say, for example, you bought on this day right here, right? And technically, they're supposed to deliver your shares within 1, 2, 3, and then like basically like they should have delivered them on this day, but maybe they decided they were going to eat it and they're just going to do it on Monday. So they need to make sure you're down here and you're freaking out, and then you sell. Because if you bought up here and you sold down here, when they actually have to buy your shares, they only have to pay it from here. You paid them, like, let's say you paid $7 a share and you bought 1,000 shares. Well, now they get to buy your shares back at 4 something, and then do you get the refund on that? No, they keep that money. They don't want you to win. You're more profitable when you guys lose. That's what you guys need to realize about your brokers. Your brokers want you to lose. They are not on your side. Like, if you paid them $7,000, right, to buy shares at $7, and you sell and they never bought your shares until down here, who keeps that money? Not only that, but they also made money on the bid ask. There's a bunch of different ways they make money on you guys. And they make money on me too. I mean, I broker too, but I'm saying like this, I at least know what they are. Like your brokers are not on your side. And your brokers will eat an FTD to make sure that they think you might sell and freak out, and then they can buy down here your shares, reset that FTD, and they made money on it. Like that's how this game works. Like once you guys realize that, like that's when you go, huh. So these guys have an incentive to not want you to have your shares delivered. Just throwing that out there for you guys. So yeah, I mean that's their game. Like they could have easily decided we're just going to eat the FTDs here because we know that these FTDs basically from the 14th on. So right here, right, this is when you cover basically the 1st through the 15th. So the last day of the trading portion was the 14th. Next week is the 18th. So this entire week right here, right, that won't come out until May 15th. So any of these FTDs won't come out until then. And their job until then is to go shake the tree as hard as they can. So by the time that people actually see how bad things got, hopefully you're already out. Yeah, and your brokerage holds your money in an account and earns, this is what Charles wrote, your brokerage holds your money in an account and earns money and interest and being able to loan out your loan or your shares also. Yeah, I mean, like they're making money on you hand over fist. You are just, and when you lose, they make even more. So yeah, they are not on your side. But yeah, the whole reason why we had low volume was because the entire market had been like chopping and bleeding off, and so I think they had bigger fish to fry than playing with the Aterian all day. Like for us, this is many people's biggest plays, but like, yeah, you're their tool. We are their tool to make more money. Fun. I've been thinking about you a lot. Hope you're well, brother. Looking forward to a wonderful week. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what StockTwits is talking about when, they think I'm scared. Like, honestly, I'm not. Like, this week is going to be what it is. We have a spring zone. They're going to try to push us down. They want to see this, the MACD crossover. They want to scare everybody out. And honestly, just wait. Look for large dips. You don't need to buy every single day. Try to find areas of support. If you know they're going to bounce off one of these levels, then that's where you buy. Like, watch the chart. If you don't know what these levels are, ask somebody in the Discord. Like, there's plenty of people in there that are tracking all the sorts of stuff. If you're not part of the Discord, you should probably join it because if you're trading the stock, you want to have as much information as possible. So. And it's free. Like nobody's charging anything for that Discord. It's just retail traders getting together. People track TA and do all that stuff. Oh, fun. Thank you so much for putting that out there. What's the bottom level for the spring zone? I mean, it could be like basically, I probably need to make this a little bit different size, but it would be basically around this level right here. So if I pull that down, my dog's snoring next to me. Sorry if anyone hears. All right, here we go. So probably around this point right here, like 350. Yeah, I mean, we don't charge for the Discord, and people are in there that have great knowledge. Some of them, I listen to their TA more than mine because honestly, I think they're better at it than I am. I'll still continue, working on mine, but there are guys in there that are doing fractal stuff that like Booksy and some of the other, other guys, and I'm like, I can read basic stuff. I'm not playing with fractals at this point, so. I need to get my head around the math on those things. So this is where I would see kind of like, the lowest, I think the loading zone would be like 350. I'm not waiting for that personally. I think it starts at 408 and then it gets down to 350, but we'll see where it ends up bouncing because, there's a lot of factors that go into this. The more and more I read about the share that retail holds, I think we own more than the float. The ATER problem is growing bigger and bigger, and they're trying to hide it. Yeah, I mean, they're starting to. It looks like they're starting to hide it in the option chains too. And I think, like for example, if you look at some of this stuff down here, I was noticing a high level amount of like deep in the money puts, and you start looking at, like, there's like not this one, but there's some ones that they have a high amount of like really cheap, like it looks like they're basically creating synthetics. Obviously that's speculation. Lawyers, I don't know if I make that any more clear. I'm not accusing anyone, but it appears from a uneducated retail investor that when you have a high amount of calls and puts that are basically getting placed together, it looks like they're basically trying to create a synthetic long. And the way that works is you basically buy a put and a call that have basically the same movement as a share. So hypothetically, those ones can be used just like a share because they almost track perfectly. It's like 99.9%. Like the difference is on the premium. And actually, I think I have a video that I linked for the about this. How do you create a synthetic long? But I was going to say, yeah, it's very interesting knowing how you would create a synthetic long, which could have essentially at least kick the can down the road. And it looks like there's a good amount of option stuff that is really picked up. I mean, this is a stock that literally it had like $1 million of premium for weeks. Like it was tiny. And now you're seeing like hundreds of millions of premium popping up all over the place. And it's like there's big money being spent on this tiny little stock, and you don't normally see that. Yeah, the poor man's covered call, synthetic long. Yeah. So we're going to see a lot of stuff going on this week. We're going to start getting the FTD data. We're going to start seeing, obviously we have good sentiment going into how many people buy on Monday. Good question. I mean, how many people know how to route through IEX or buy deep in the money, calls, like $3 and $3.50, calls. Like these are all going to be really interesting questions that we're going to get answered. Like if we start seeing, for example, this over here, if we start seeing this start getting filled up again, like in the 250, 3, if we start seeing, a high amount of volume in here, that's a good sign that retail is kind of understanding how this all works. And like obviously everyone keeps chasing down here, and that's like it's great, but at the same time that's not what keeps you in the game. Like this is what keeps you in the game. This is pipe dreams, because at this point we're not there yet. Now, could this all fill up? Yes, and you need this too. But these things are cheap. Like they will get cheaper throughout the week too, unless we start running immediately and then we get an IV spike. But like these are relatively cheap compared to these, and that's why retail doesn't do them, because retail wants to buy down here. But if no one's doing the dirty work of at least having something safe, by the time Friday goes around, you can easily just be down here, and then everything up here gets burned, and then what's the point? So that's why I don't like doing something that's very far out of the money. Like, this to me would be risky right now. Like, do I think we can get up to like the 7s? Yeah, I do. Would I buy a 7 for this week? No, I wouldn't. Like, that's just my personal, risk tolerance as far as that goes. Like, when we were flying up, it was different. Like, right now, we have to see, I want to see this starting to fill up again. And I want to see, people selling, bullish, bullish puts. And I want to see saying, like, I'm fine buying the stock under 4. And seeing somebody sell that, like that would be to me, like, because that it basically puts this is something I think a lot of people don't understand. If you're selling a put that's bullish, and what that means is you are committing to buying anything that's under $4. So if the stock drops to $3.50, you still have to buy it 4, but that's fine if you're going long on the stock. So what happens though and this is the interesting thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, is if you were to do this, you're basically putting up a wall. And when a stock like Aterian that's trading very low liquidity, these market makers have to make a choice. So, for example, if I was to buy a $4 put, right, technically I just need to have the cash there. But essentially what's happening is you're putting a wall there, because if the market maker the shorts push the stock below this point, they now have to start hedging shares. Because if, for example, we end up at 380 for the end of the week, they have to give you shares by Tuesday of the following week. So it essentially makes them choose, okay, do we make sure that all these, bullish puts are in the money, or are we going to make sure that they're above it so we don't actually have to hedge all those shares? It's an interesting thought, and I'm not telling anyone to do this. I'm just pointing it out that basically you're putting up a wall. So if you think max pain is, I don't know, for this week $5, you're going to sit there and go, oh, thanks, Trey. Appreciate it. I was going to say, whenever the YouTube pays me, I will put all this towards Aterian. So, so I'm just seeing people are writing. Let's see. Do you mind explaining how this play could be similar to GME or CA? Yeah, I mean, it's the same setup. It's basically you have more shares floating out there than actually exist. That's what happened with GameStop. That's what happened with Spurt. That's what happened with all these things. So, like, when you have that situation happening and you start having options chains that are stacking up and, like, eventually, if we get to a point where the entire float gets locked up in the options chains right here, that gets really dangerous for them, because if they can't get the price down, this runs. And when it runs, it will run hard, and that's what the gamma is. So, do you know if enabling direct routing in TD makes a difference? So the shares... Yeah, so on TD, you have a... I wish I could pull up... I don't want to pull up the site because that's the account numbers and everything, but TD should have... Let me see if I can screenshot so you guys see. This should take me a second. So there's a button on... If you're doing it through the web browser, just so you guys can see this. You go to trade, and then you choose stocks and ETFs, and then it brings you up to this screen right here. I will take out the account information. I'm going to screenshot this for you guys. So. All right, just so you guys can see this, and hopefully... So on TD, at least, when you go into trade and then like stocks and ETFs, it brings you up to this screen. You hit buy, you give your quantity, you type in your symbol, ATER, limit, you give it the price that you want. You can do day or day and extended hours or good till close, whatever you want to do. Special instructions, they won't let you do this, at least on I Iex, which is the all or nothing or all those ones. But here, routing, you can choose your routing on TD, and it will give you, Smart, NASDAQ ARCA. But here, I Iex, if you do this one, that one will hit the lit exchange, and it's a much more fair thing. So, can retail own more shares than the float? Yes, absolutely. Retail can own many more shares than the float, and the reason why that is because the settlement system. Because we have a settlement system that is T plus whatever what is happening, it allows a stock to trade way more shares in a short period of time than actually can exist in a float. Yeah, but yeah, IEX, can I enable IEX on Robinhood? I don't think so, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure because Robinhood's just shitty in general. I don't want to get sued by Robinhood. Robinhood has not been on retail side. So let me just see. My wife had a Robinhood account. Let me just see if it's... Let me solve a puzzle. Pick a... oh, they're making me pick... Okay. That was weird. They made me like pick puzzle pieces or something like that. All right, so let me just see if you're able to route on... So if you go to trade by Aterian... Yeah, I don't see anything that allows you to route on Robinhood. So I'm going to give you a probably no on that. Tanner's confirming it also. Fidelity doesn't have IEX too. TD has IEX. What brokers can route through IEX? All right, so it looks like TD is for U.S. customers only. IBKR, E-Trade, Saco Bank. I don't know. Maybe that's but they're saying that's not recommended if you're with Saco. It says you can't decide to route which one it is. But yeah, at this point right now, the only ones that allow you to do it, it sounds like, are E-Trade, TD, and IBKR in the U.S. For, U.S. customers only. I think if you're overseas, then you have to go through whatever your broker is. But I think you guys are actually getting real shares, if I remember correctly. I think you guys have a lot more stringent things over there. So let's see. Yeah, so like I said, I read the list of at least confirmed ones. It sounds like TD, IBKR, and E-Trade are the only ones that actually let you route through IEX. And they don't do it automatically. You have to go through and you have to go into that screen and choose your routing. If you don't do that, they will route through whatever one they want you to. IBKR Canada has IEX also. Yeah. You guys, Tanner said you guys are asking all these questions you can Google on your own. Stop wasting my Batman time. Okay, Riptide saying it's E-Trade Pro only. But yeah. But this is the thing. This is what retail doesn't understand. Retail doesn't understand that if you guys don't route your orders through lit exchanges, they are just ending up T+3s, and they can also choose to for FTDs to just kick the can down the road. And so you're not actually creating any buying pressure when you're buying common shares. So the only thing that you could do is if you wanted to buy deep in the money, calls, like if you bought a $3 call, that's probably pretty safe. Not financial advice, but I'm just saying, like, if you bought that for this week, if you wanted to get shares, transfer, like, that would actually probably cause hedging, like, market makers to hedge. So, but it is what it is. I mean, E-Trade has a $65 commission per contract. Wow, that's high. I wouldn't do that. That's super high. Do you send all your orders through IEX or only on it? Yeah, I'm doing it for everything because I want my shares to actually hit the exchange like it should. Like, whenever I buy something, I want my buy orders to actually hit the market and then go, yeah, like, if I'm buying a stock, I want it to hit. It's crap that they don't, and like the fact that they basically removed. I mean, here, let's pull up this real quick. So, I'm gonna get going soon, but I just want to show you guys this. 65% of your trades went off exchange. So about 10 million shares went off exchange. What that means is if you sat there and bought on Friday to try to get the stock price up, most of it never did. In fact, over 50% of the trades, 65 to be exact, went off exchange, and they were matched and washed out, so you never got buy pressure. So, it is what it is. But the more retail learns this stuff, I feel like the better off they are. And I think the problem is nobody was teaching anybody how all this works. Oh, sorry, it's 65 cents, not $65. I was going to say that would have been ridiculous. I was going to say I would never trade options if it was $65 per option. More expensive than some of the options I would have done. I don't understand why it's legal for shares not to hit the market right away. So, I mean, this is how the system works right now, Michael. Like, I mean, I wish it weren't this way, but like, they created this system to make sure that retail didn't have a voice. So when you see this price movement, if you've got thousands of retail investors all pumping their money in, but yet it's going down, it's because they're not actually hitting the lit exchange. Like, these buy orders are just going to go down to next week. That's what's going to happen. It's sad. It is what it is. But can you route options through different exchanges on TD? I don't know if I've ever done that. With options, I've never done that. But I was going to say, I don't think you need to do it for options. Options go through the CBOE, so. No, you're fine, Maggie. I was going to say. All right. Give me any last minute questions. I'll try to answer them, and then we'll kind of get going. See you guys in the pre-market. I will try to write some DD. I know it's getting late, so I will try to write some DD. See you on the battlefield. I ate the acid. Yeah, I'll write some DD in the morning and try to kind of get everybody, at least that didn't get to see this stream, up to speed, where, the spring is, where things could go, things about the options chains, and, obviously the, if we don't fill up that bottom part, we're not going to get the top part. That's just the way it works. And, I'll do my spiel, but, yeah, I was going to say, great talking to you guys. Good hanging out. I know people wanted to at least kind of go watch Batman. No, it's too late for Batman now. I think it's like a 2-hour movie. And it's midnight now. So, yeah, if you can like and subscribe, that's awesome. I will link let's link the Discord real quick. It's 3 hours, yeah. So I'd be up until like 3 in the morning. No, I'm not doing that. I might watch like part of it. I've been learning so much from these things. Just want to say thank you. Thanks for hanging out, Maggie. All right, so there's the Discord. If you get anyone who wants to join us, we're in there a lot. Dr. or DZ Vids. Yeah, the Discord link's right here. I'll post it again. And then it's free. So, like, come hang out with us, learn stuff. I mean, there's plenty of really smart people in there. I'm not the smartest person always. I can tell you that most of the time I'm not the smartest person in the room. So you'll be able to talk to a bunch of people that, have great knowledge. And I'm just a guy that's helping out when I can, and other things I'm learning from other people. And that's a good thing. It pushes me to get better and pushes me to learn things myself. And then if anyone, I do have a Patreon. We're trying to get me to be able to live stream people. So if you'd like to hear me talk throughout the day and discuss stocks and do all that stuff, you're more than welcome to support me on a Patreon. And my wife said that if I get enough people that I can replace my income, then I can stream for you guys all day long, and we can make some money together. So I will link that here. And then, as always, thank you for hanging out with me. I know, these are long-winded and not for everyone, but, I appreciate you guys coming in and talking to me. All right. So everyone have a great evening. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll be in the Discord throughout the day, but I am going to be at work tomorrow, so I'm not able to live stream until I get, obviously, enough money to, Cheech and Stocks, Barks, and Sign. Yeah, I'm not talking about those right now. I'm ending the stream. But have a great evening, and if you want to bring it next time, or if you want to bring it up in the Discord, you're more than welcome to in the main chat room. All right, have a good night, guys.